So I was going to meet a friend of mine that I had not seen in years. Years. And I wanted to wear something that made me feel good. And I had a really hard time picking a shirt. I stood in front of my closet for a long time, humming and hawing, and finally arrived at something that I felt good in, put it on, walked out of my room, and immediately spilled a drink on it. God damn you, universe! Welcome to Hug Me. I'm insane and I am Perry Johnson. Today I'm talking about suffering. What the hell is the purpose of it? What has the purpose of suffering been in my life? Well, many of you probably heard the saying by Haruki Murakami. It's a Japanese poet, and he said, "Pain is inevitable, suffering is optional." And so what did he mean by that? Well, in the case of my shirt, I was very attached to the idea of how the shirt was going to communicate who I was, what the message was. I spent a bunch of time pontificating on what I was going to be saying by wearing that shirt. And this over-identification with the shirt is indicative of my obsessive mind, which is really the root of my addictive mind. I mean, they're one and the same. And so rather than being in the moment when I walked in to meet my friend and having my presence communicate where I was at and what I was all about and what I had to say doing those things, I instead projected a bunch of those things, many of those qualities, onto the shirt. I over-identified with the shirt. And when the universe came along and decided to spill the drink on my shirt, really it was saying two things. Number one, the divine did not want me wearing that shirt, but more to the point, it pointed to the fact that there is more for me to heal, in the sense that I need to be more secure in who I am, and I need to be more present in being who I am at all times. Standing in my closet and over-focusing on what the message that my shirt would be sending was pulling me out of the moment and putting me well into the future. And that futurizing that's my anxiety. That's fear. Fear is always rooted in the future. Something bad is coming down the pike and I'm not going to be able to either handle it or survive it. Additionally, I also realized upon further investigation, and this is really the gift of doing this work and becoming more self-aware and using my tools, I also realized that I had anxiety around meeting with my friend because we went way back and he knew me and worked with me through periods of my active addiction and drinking, and actually watched me come out of my first kick at the can at sobriety and being clean, and the slow implosion of Perry's life over the course of the next decade, and he was witness to a lot of that stuff and to a lot of my behaviors. And so I had a lot of fear and a lot of supposition and a lot of projection around what I thought he thought about me based on those ideas. The fact of the matter is I had no idea. And upon talking with him, he was dealing with his own struggles. And the fact that he was willing to meet with me and find out where I was at and talk about where I was going and how can he be a part of that, to me indicated that once again, I spent considerable time and energy spinning on what amounted to nothing but fear. You know, again, it always comes back to the same thing: is what is kicking me out of my authenticity? What is kicking me out of the present moment? And it's always these ideas and these over identifications with not just things like shirts, but also people, places, or things, as they say. But even more than that, like I can over identify and obsess about concepts and ideas and feelings. Really, this is the hallmark of my obsessive brain. It will latch on to anything and spin on that until I'm pulled well out of shape. So I really, once again, am taught the lesson that it's vital for me to not only use my tools, but to remain engaged in and invested in my best practices in terms of my mental health and spiritual practices, because really they're one and the same. The one hand feeds the other. When my mental health is doing really badly, all of my spiritual practices go out the window, and the snake ends up eating its tail, and things can spin out of control for me, and I can find myself ass deep in depression, or all kinds of manifestations. My past traumas will come up, and I can get triggered back into them. But again, if that's happening, it's not because I'm being punished or because the world is a cruel place, although it can sometimes feel that way when we're embroiled in the lessons. But really, if we're able to see that everything is really here to serve us, and that the divine wants me to be happy and abundant and to have serenity, it's me that gets in the way of those things. I'm at all times being guided, and it's incumbent on me to remain open to the lessons. And that's not always easy, because I'm like anybody else. I get pulled off track, and I get pulled down and become victimized by the big bad Perry brain process. And I think that this is really, it's not just good or bad, as we say, or aspects of mental health. It's just being human. So the suffering is optional, because no matter what, I'm going to be feeling things that are uncomfortable, what we describe as pain. But it's my attachment to that pain, and whether or not I'm choosing to react or to respond. I can react to it and fall into victim mode and go into self-pity and ask myself, why do these things always happen to me, and why can I never catch a break? And here's yet another reason why this world is fucked, etc., etc. Or I can choose, and it is a choice, I can choose to respond to that pain. Become curious about it, despite it, in the face of it. Become curious about it. What am I being shown? And I would much rather use my energy to that end, to be open to the lesson, because I am being shown the lesson, particularly if it seems like I'm stuck in a loop. A lot of the times that's a pretty good indication that I need to seek some outside counsel. If I'm identifying my own patterns, because I don't always do that. I can be stuck in them, and there's just another pattern, and so I don't always see the forest for the trees. And I suffer when I sit in things, when I sit in pain, and I spin on it, and I don't talk about it. Really, it's the reaching out and making myself vulnerable to somebody else that illuminates what's really going on. And more often than not, in that reaching out and having somebody else witness me talking about that pain, the answers more often than not come out of my own mouth. I have everything that I need, but I need other people in my support group to help me facilitate, to help me find that answer, to help me discover what it is that I already know. And this is why it's so important for me to be that person for other people, to be willing to just be the witness and to just listen and not try and fix. Although I certainly will do that too. Because, hey, if I'm able to fix you, then now I'm not focused on me. I'm going to talk more about this topic. It's going to come up a lot because it really defines my road today in terms of not only my recovery, but my overall serenity and quality of life. So I'm going to sign off for now. And until next time, I'm going to see you guys soon. Thanks for being here.